Hey, my name is Ayanna Freedom. We're going to be working with the 12 body agreements to release stress, bring in joy, racial trauma healing, collective healing, healing marginalized and oppressed communities, healing your body, ways to rest and release hustle culture, ways to nurture yourself, cultivating your tribe and being present with them, loving the fuck out of your body, and what the fuck is menopause? Join me for this journey of getting your mind, body, and spirit the fuck unstuck. So, welcome everybody to the Unfuck Your Stuck podcast. Blessing, you want to re-say that so you can just swear?
Welcome to Unfuck Your Stuck Agreement 3.
Yes, Agreement 3. Also, Agreement Podcast, that's kind of cool. We'll just say it like that. I mean, it is about agreements. So there we go. We got a lot to talk about today. So we are going to talk about agreement number 3. I'm going to try to reel this in. So it's not like 10 hours of like anti-Trump bullshit, because I mean, there's so much happening there, and we're kind of going to ground ourselves today around what's happening. And then each agreement will then unfold itself with all of that wrapped up in a pretty little bow.
Agreement 3. I will tune into breath in every moment possible. How can you interact with breath in a way that will bring you more peace? What can you commit to with breath and being more of it in your life?
I'm going to talk a lot about what this moment calls for, which is pausing, and a lot of breath. Because right now, what's happening in this moment is the body is on like overwhelm and fire. Okay, particularly if you are someone that voted for freedom. So I say vote for freedom, meaning freedom of all bodies, not just of white bodies, not just of straight male white bodies, but that's pretty much what we did. We put into power somebody that believes in power over, that believes in capitalism, that believes in not the rights of women in any way, shape, or form, and not the liberation of LGBTQIA plus bodies, trans bodies, Black and brown bodies, indigenous bodies. This current political person has co-signed racism and harmfulness in a way which will essentially just allow more humans to be disposable. So let's all take a deep breath in. Into the nose, out through the mouth. So that's the moment that we're, I need to move. Hold on. Let's move our bodies, Blessing, because you feel stiff after I just said all that. That was like, I said it so heavy too, like, ow. So wherever you are, maybe move your body a little bit. Maybe bring the arms above the head. Oh, Stephanie's doing it. Stephanie is our producer. She's Lemonadio, and she's like with us in this podcast. So you can't see her, but she's with us. So it's fun. It's just to bring her in the room. I can't sleep, first of all. So I wake up at like 5 since this has all gone down. And then I just move my body and I breathe and I write. Blessing walked me on this morning, not at 5, but when I was in my moment of just needing to be in something else. And we can all create that for ourselves. So I have a room in which has all the beautiful things that I love and I get to look at and I get to be and breathe in.
Benadryl.
I need to take that. Oh,
I can hear you walk in the morning, and I'm like, what is she doing up at like 5 or 4 in the morning? And then I just go back to bed when you walk back upstairs, because it's like thump, thump.
I know, the house is loud.
All over the house.
Yeah, I don't like Benadryl. It makes me like groggy. Even when I'm sick, I don't like taking it.
Well, at least it makes you sleepy.
It does make you sleepy. But there's other ways in which you can create rest in your body, which is also what we're going to talk about today. Because, Blessing, why don't you take the mic? I want to ask you some questions, okay?
Okay.
Blessing, can you describe this moment?
Feeling free in what you believe in, and you can speak your mind. People are stressed. They have really big opinions
Like what? Break it down, girl.
about
Break it
the
down.
election.
Yeah. What have you been hearing?
People on my bus, there's a lot of Trumpers, and they're like F Kamala Harris. Like,
Really?
yeah, they're like, oh, she wants to start war again.
Oh, interesting. What do you say to that?
I'm like, you guys don't understand Black culture. That's why you're saying that.
Yes.
Because you don't understand why we don't like Trump.
Yeah. Right. Why don't you like Trump?
Because he's racist,
He's pretty racist.
and it was on camera. We have video proof, people.
Seriously.
Video proof that he said that.
Oh my God, blessing. So he is the greatest thing. Like everything that he did that is harmful is in plain view. It's not like he's hiding and is like, I didn't say that. He's straight up like, I did that. And I did that on camera. And I did that in front of people. Yeah. Blessing, let me ask you this question, because I've been rappling with this. Rappling, is that a word? I made it a word. Rappling? Rappling?
Well, I think it's more like...
I think it's in a new Ayanna Freedom word. Rappling. Okay. Grappling, I think, is what I was trying to reach for. So, so now we're in this big divide where you have all the people that voted for, I say freedom, right? But people who vote for Trump also say that they voted for freedom. It's two separate freedoms. It's not. So there's freedom of certain people and certain bodies, and then there's freedom of all bodies.
Sometimes people's dreams are higher than their expectations.
Oh, mic drop. Say more.
Yes. When people say, oh yeah, I voted for freedom because I don't believe that Trump is this. But if you didn't watch the election, if you just watched it this year and he won, there's no video proof that he said it this year, but there is video proof that he has said it before.
I see what you're saying.
And there is video proof that his wife doesn't even like him because he is a womanizer.
She's also an immigrant. Let's just also, yeah, and he's like so anti-immigrants of any kind. So here we are in this moment, two separate freedoms, and it is very hard for people to understand the intersectionality of this. Do you know what I mean by that, Blessing? Like, how would these things be connected? How could you have a group of people that are on such one side of things and then a group of people that believe in such different things? And both groups of people really think that they're right. Like fundamentally think that they are right. And so in my brain, I've been just trying to process all that. Like how is this? I mean, I understand in the context of history and slavery and how that all works, like how we got here in capitalism. Angela Davis was one of the speakers, and she's an abolitionist, so powerful political person in the world, particularly around anti-slavery, but prisons and all of the things. So she's older and she's been through all of these things and historically seen some pretty deep stuff in her life. And the audience was asking her, or the panelist was asking her, like, what is the wisdom like of this, given your experience? And her response was like, we've never been here before. Like, this is not the cyclical, like, historical thing that just ebbs and flows. This is something completely different that none of us have ever seen or ever experienced before. And that is some scary, scary stuff. So it's new. So my question for you, Blessing, after my little rant of my menopause brain, which is a different episode, but just be aware that that's a thing. Okay? Just putting it out there.
The face.
It's a thing. Huh?
The face.
The face, my face? Oh,
Just
she's
feel
making
it.
fun of me. Okay. That was my menopause phase. Now we have one. Now we've got it down.
We've got
Okay.
a good attitude face, people.
And attitude face. How do you make sense of like people think so differently? How could that be possible?
They were born into a certain belief and they were not taught the right history. Maybe when people seeing stuff go bad, they don't do anything because they don't know how to help sometimes.
Oh, okay. I
Like
had to think
if
about that for a
something
minute.
really bad happens to someone, they can't help or they don't understand because they don't know it and they can't like help.
So historically, when we're taught information about history, like you just brought up,
Mhm.
we are taught typically white history,
Yes.
and we
we're,
are go
we're
ahead.
not taught all of the past. We're taught half of it.
Not
Like
even. But
the
yeah.
saying, let the past be the past. It's not really the past if you don't tell us the whole thing.
Well, that was deep. What vitamins did you take this morning? My
Like,
God. Like you grew overnight or something. Like what's happening? We're taught white history. And so if we're taught white history and we're not taught the struggle of what it means to be people of color in the world and the actual history of slavery and the actual history of whose land we live on and whose land we do not own, right? That contributes to what we call white privilege.
Mhm.
And Donald Trump probably is.
He owns so many golf carts. Like
That was great.
golf carts and golf courses. They're like no reason. You're not gonna. There's not like 100 of you to go play.
And then I heard a little bit about, Elon Musk. There's money behind all of this in a way to reach power over versus power with. So that's sort of the bottom line. So, but I want to make sure that we are linking it back to agreement 3, which is breath. So if you can think about all of what's happening, right, as a divide, as a way of separation, breath is one way that we can bring ourselves back to each other. I want to make sure that we get to a place where we can understand how to move in this moment in time and that it's not over, nothing's done, nothing is final. Whether you want to rest or whether you want to get moving and try to be an activist in the world and all that stuff is very powerful. What did you laugh at? Oh my gosh, she's laughing like right at me. Go for it. What are you laughing at?
No.
It's when I get serious.
Yes.
She's like, it's so what? What?
There's
Talk to
more
me.
laughing than breath in this podcast
Oh, yeah, but you know why?
because we're happy. But I laugh because you get so serious.
Well, it's serious stuff, man. It is
Yes.
serious stuff.
It's the way you say it.
I know, because I get really like passionate about it. But laughing is joy, which is breath. Did you know that?
Yes.
Right, you can't
But-
laugh without breath.
Yeah, you can.
So there's the
You can laugh so
infusion.
hard that there's no breath. It's happened so many times.
With me or with you or with both of us?
Just with anybody.
Oh,
Just like
watch
with my
out.
friends. If you laugh so hard, there's like no time for a breath to get through.
And those are like the moments in which it feels like time like stands still because you're laughing so hard, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like time travel.
I wish I could time travel right now because I would time travel and this election wouldn't have happened. That's not true. That's not true. Blessing, how did you feel in your body when Trump got elected? Do you remember how you learned?
This in the morning?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't too happy.
Yeah. I never seen your face look so unhappy except for one other time in your life.
Yay, the button worked.
I think part of what I want to make sure that people still understand is that as much as this moment is hard and hurts, there is joy in struggle.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like bring the Christmas spirit, people.
So Blessing's favorite thing to do is lean into Christmas when things are stressful.
Yes. We were watching I watched a Christmas movie last night, and I went on with Simone Biles,
Yeah.
like her life story.
Yeah.
She didn't wanna
Actually,
watch
that
it.
was a good coping mechanism because that was like, you know what? Let's watch a kick-ass Black woman just defy the odds, take care of her mental health, and just kill it in the world.
Girl, Sprint was with Gabby Thompson, who's Black, so Shakara Richardson, who's Black, and Noah Lyles, who's Black, Usain Bolt, who's Black, and they have broken world records, but you didn't want to watch it.
They have both broken work, but I did want to watch it, and I was watching parts. I've just seen it many times. That's all, love. That's all. That's all. But I love that you put it on, and I could see why you did because you're like, you know what? In this moment in time, this is what we need to see. This is what we need to watch. This is what we need to be a part of. What?
I put it on.
Okay. Hold on. Pause. She's saying that's not why she put it on. But here's the deal. Not everything is conscious.
Yeah.
So subconsciously, I was pretty aware that that's why she put it on. But you tell me why you put it on.
Because I like track and I like
Exactly.
watching it.
Yep. You got it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. So the reason why breath became so important is I was struggling with a lot of stuff emotionally a while back. And if you read my book, you can get into all the fancy stuff about why. I don't need to go into that right here this second. But I will say that I was in rehab and I was on my yoga mat. And I've told this story 1,000 times, but I'm going to tell it again because I think it relates into how we choose freedom and how we choose liberation versus how we choose destruction or dangerous ways of harming others, which is sort of the two choices we've been given right now. At some point in time, and maybe Blessing, this part, you can think about how you might integrate this into your life. So when I thought that I was in a moment where I was never going to get out of feeling horrible, I found my breath. And the way that I found my breath was I figured out that if I took a deep breath, I could shift and change the thought in my mind to something good and something that my body resonated with. Does that make sense, Blessing?
Mhm.
Yeah. So, for example, if I was feeling like I had a lot of abandonment stuff with my mom, if I was feeling awful or horrible about that or unlovable, which came up a lot, I would take a deep breath and say, I am love instead. So let's all try that. So take a deep breath in. Exhale, I am love, but in your mind. I thought she was going to say it out loud, which is also fine. You can say that though. Here, Blessing, say, I am love.
I'm love.
Oh, that was nice. Do it again. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, I am love.
I'm love.
Oh, that's really cool. I think we should probably at some point do a meditation that sounds just like this. Okay, deep inhale. Exhale, I am love. Yeah. And so the body naturally starts to soften. Breath is so important.
Yes, you will always have a choice in life. Like, there's this quote from a movie, Wonder, and there's this girl, Summer, in his class, and she's reading the quote up on the board, and it's, when given a choice in life between kind and mean, always choose kind. You always have a choice in life to do what you like the most.
Yeah.
It's your passion, so
Yeah. And I wonder if partly what's happening in the world right now is that the people who have been taught like the white story and the dominant culture story are trying to figure out how to choose kind and are trying to figure out where there is nuance and where there's fluidity. Meaning, if you don't have the full context of what has happened in the world and you don't have the backstory and you just have the white story, you're not going to necessarily choose kind.
Maybe they are trying to choose kind, but if you're pushing them to their limits, they snap at the very tip of being kind, and then they fall. It's like climbing up a rope. They're climbing up the rope to be kind, but then somebody keeps annoying them, and then the rope snaps, and they're back at where they don't want to be at.
Yeah. So that's fascinating. So what you just said, right? So white bodies and bodies of color have different thresholds for when that snap happens. You know what I mean by that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when I was thinking about that is like all right, I'm like so loving that she just said that. There's so much in there. That goes back to like people keep asking me if how come I'm not more angry? Like how come I'm not like just want to go, I don't know, hurt something, hurt someone, just be so angry that this has happened. And the truth of the matter is even though Angela Davis says we haven't been here before, there are parts of this in which does represent pieces of history. So I want you to think about two things. Like how did people of color like emerge from slavery? Because this is like where we are. We are encaged or caged in many, many, many ways. It also makes me think about, sort of how Black bodies moved through liberation from slavery. So think about the energy of that. When you close your eyes and you think about like, what does that movement look like? That's kind of where I went to. That's where my body went to like, oh, we're here. We're here now. Right. And so then what's needed there? What's needed here when you're in that place? It's that level of freedom that we now have to push up against and fight for. The other one is if you think about, so I do work with many people and have many close friends in my world that have been incarcerated, and many kids that have been incarcerated. And if you think about that, and some of them have done things and some of them haven't, and most of them are Black men that have been unjustly been put in bars due to racism. That's like 90% of it. And when they get out, like even if it's people that have been there for so long for being wrongly accused because they are a person of color, the liberation that they then live with, even though there's trauma there, even though there's so much trauma, their energy when they get out of being free and understanding and having to live in a way that frees their body and their mind enough so that they're not caged forever is also the energy that I am living with. Because think about it this way. Trump is what? How many felonies? Steph, if it's a lot, right? And there are, many people, men, women of all genders, bodies who have been incarcerated who, how many? 34. Okay. How many that have not, that like then can't get a job because it comes up in their quarry that they, listen, did you think about this part? Right? So if you have been incarcerated, you have what's called a quarry. And so it's like something comes up on your record that's like, oh my gosh, you have a criminal record, therefore you shouldn't can't get this job, which in my brain is stupid anyway. But I get where people are going. Like keep people safe, right? I get the thought process. But then you have a president
who's literally had 34 felonies.
Make that make sense.
And you want him. Outsiders is a book about teenagers.
She's like, I'm looping around school. I love it.
There's two groups. The Soch, which aka the Soches, short for Soches,
Yeah.
and then the Greasers. They're kind of the brokies. Some of them are light skinned, but most of them are a little dark skinned and they don't get treated very well. It's like there's so many laws that they break because they're more, because people think they're going to do it more. Because, like, Cherry and Pony Boy, those are two characters. One's a social, one's a greaser. They were standing there getting popcorn, and soda, and Pony Boy goes, "Yeah, it's rough. You guys have it so easy." And Cherry goes, "It's rough all over, Pony Boy. It's never easy around." So, like, it's rough all over the world. It's never easy for people. People always have something that isn't perfect for them. There's always one thing that isn't perfect for people.
Yeah. The world is hard. It's rough. I love that word, rough. It kind of describes again the moment that we're in. It's rough. And there doesn't feel like, I know so many of you reached out to me this week, like it doesn't feel like, it feels like we lost power, like altogether. But I do want you to know that it's okay that it feels rough right now. And we'll get there. We'll get there to a place where it feels a little bit better. Doesn't mean it's going to get better. So I think that's partly what, when I've been writing so much this week, is that we have to let go of what we thought was, yeah, like what we thought was. Like lots of us thought, like we had this dream, right? This dream that like we were going to then have this woman of color that was the president for the first time. And then that was like the best thing. It was like so awesome to hang on to. It was so cool to watch Blessing and be like, yes, like the first time in her like history, like we were gonna see this happen. Like we had a good feeling about it. Maybe, you know, maybe. So in my gut, I knew he was gonna be president again. But like I extended the possibility, right? I was able to extend the possibility for the hope for everyone else around me that was like, this is gonna happen. And then our hearts are broken, and that's kind of what it feels like. Does it feel like that for you, Blessing?
Yeah.
And what do you do to mend a broken heart?
Do what you love most.
Mm-hmm.
Relax and rest.
Yes. What are you, my kid? So well said. So the only way to mend a broken heart really, really is to bring breath into the space where there is pain, right? And you do that by yourself, and then you do that with other people, right? So you can't, none of this is going to feel okay without the collective healing of other people. But some of it is that you have to let yourself, what we call, grieve and be sad. And it's like real grief. This isn't just like, oh, an election was lost. This is like your humanity was taken. And your heart was broken. And so when we think about how to heal from that, this is not like I don't want people to think like this is a healing. This is a forever and a very small chunk, brick by brick. I don't know.
Grief by grief.
Sure. Unfolding. Let it unfold. So that there's going to be small increments of letting the grief out. I was talking to my friend the other day, and it was like we were talking about vulnerability, and it's how do you let yourself then be vulnerable? How do you let your heart then be sacred when it's been so broken? Right? And my answer to him was like you keep your armor as long as you need to keep your armor to keep yourself safe and protect yourself. But then you let these little cracks in, right? These little microscopes of light, and then you let them be in the space of other people that can witness that light. And then if you need to seal it back up and then go back out in the world to function, that's what you do. And then each time with that person or with other people that can hold yourself sacred, then you let it open a little bit more. And then you can get to a place where you can take the armor off and put it back on. And then that's sort of how this is going to work. But that's going to be a long road. So let go of the thought that like this is gonna feel better and this is just and get rid of like I'm gonna move on and move in the same way. That's just gone. That doesn't there's no such thing. So give yourself time and space to be in what it is we are in right now, what it means for you, what it means for your family, what it means for the people in your world, and then get grounded in that. And like it's not gonna feel okay being grounded in that, but you can ground yourself enough so that you feel like you enough to move forward slightly, slowly, piece by piece. The other reason why people keep asking me why I'm not so angry, I'm not like this isn't taking me down. I spent so much time like defining who I am and defining what I believe in and defining what I stand for. I was fucking born for this moment. Like I just was like, all right, this is what I was here to do, like to help serve and help protect you when there's these moments in the world. So for me, it's like, okay, I'm here. What a gift, right? There was so many times in my life where I should not be here, given my path of recovery and addiction, and here I am. And so, what a gift, right? That I get to be here for you. That I get to share some ways in which to bring more breath into your world and to soften. Speaking of softening, whoa, hey, let's get you okay, get yourself like in a place where you can yeah, bring breath into your body. This is for everybody too. So if you want to find a space where you can drop your shoulders, and I invite you to, for those of you that are really struggling with the election and what's happening, I invite you to sort of maybe take this meditation with you in the car or in like re-listen as much as you need to get your body back with breath so that the breath can really be with you in moments that you need it, particularly when you're out in the world and you face difficult situations and people that may be extremely different than you and that you may experience as harmful. So locate yourself in time and space right now. Close your eyes. Drop your shoulders. Drop the jaw. And see if you can bring some awareness to the feet. And then just start to notice breath. Become aware of the breath. Can you see the breath? And then maybe place a hand on the body somewhere. Could be your heart or your belly, your head. And take 3 really deep breaths in and out in whatever way you want. So sometimes we try to control how people breathe. It is to help them, but I want to lean more into how it is we can allow the body to just breathe and be with however the body's breathing today. And then as you breathe in, may you access love. And then as you breathe out, may you give love. As you breathe in, may you access power. And as you breathe out, may you share power. And as you breathe in, may you access and locate liberation in your body. And as you breathe out, May you see liberation in connection with each other. And as you breathe in, may you have refuge. And as you breathe out, may you see refuge in community. Continue the breath. Locate your heart. Access where you can allow love to come in. And then see the breath that connects us all. See the connection of each other with the breath. As I am not separate from you and you are not separate from me. And as you envision that, the trick here and the challenge for us moving forward is going to be, can we see the connection with each other, with the breath, with those of us that believe in liberation, and those of us that are operating in oppression? May you know that it is not just enough to speak your values on this. At some point, we are all going to have to act on the values with each other. Can you start to see what love looks like in action? Can you see it as a calling, as a moving forward? Can you see it as joy in struggle? Can you breathe in belonging? Can you start to imagine what it looks like to have a spiritual home in your own body? And then who is invited in to that home? Can you allow yourself to be in the sanctuary of your own heart while protecting and setting boundaries as you move about the world? Can you allow yourself nourishment in all of the ways that that feels good to your body? So breathe in nourishment for yourself and then breathe out nourishment for all the bodies, but particularly for the bodies that are currently being harmed by this election. There's never been a moment that calls more for us to be actually in the moment. Our bodies need to be here. They need to be present, and they need to see very, very clearly who is in front of us, who we need to be with, and who we need to move with. Breath is freedom. And now the invitation is to deepen the breath a little bit more. If you can try to breathe into the belly, fill the belly up, fill the whole body up, and really try to sigh it out of the mouth. Yeah. Blessings do an amazing job with this. So one way we want to ground ourselves is to understand that we can really choose freedom for our own bodies, and we can say yes to freedom, and we can say no to anything else. But we have to allow that notion to be possible, just like we would in slavery. The amount of belief in Black bodies about freedom was so incredible. Can we allow ourselves to be in the love of what is right now? You are more than this moment. You're bigger than the pain that you think is upon you. You are fluid. This moment feels rigid. Let it feel rigid and allow yourself to still be fluid. You are more than the despair of this moment. And you can transcend the difficulty that this may feel. And there's ancestors that came before us that made this moment possible and will allow us to move forward. And at some point, we're going to have to make a brave decision as the world. And so in many ways, the world wasn't ready to let this go. And so this moment called for this, and we're just not there. And so the grief around understanding that we're not there is okay. Like, we have to let the dominance of whiteness go. We have to let the chains of oppression go. We have to operate as if liberation was possible. You are breath and you are freedom. Take one final, really beautiful, deep breath in together. Inhale. Hey, Blessing, I love you.
I love you more.
Yeah. And for all the folks that hearts are really breaking, Blessing, I love you. And there's space that we hold for you in this podcast, but also just with our beings in the world. I'm going to be offering a variety of different things, but I need to settle in with what that looks like and what that looks like for you and what space that feels good in. Space is super important now. In order to create safe spaces, they're not, and brave spaces, they're not everywhere anymore. So I got to really think about what that looks like. but there will be places to interact with me and move with me and breathe with me within the next month moving forward. So please check out my website. That's getting it will have all the information. It's getting revamped with all the new offerings. So ayannafreedom.com. We got to lean into our bodies with breath, but Blessing, what part of your body do you love today? How could I forget that? I almost forgot that.
My eyes.
Yeah, your eyes. Why?
Because they have, when you look into them, all you see is potential.
Oh my God. What? Can I take props for that? Like, what? You're so drop dead gorgeous. I can't even. It's like, what? Okay, I feel two things. One is my heart's pretty feels powerful. It doesn't feel as broken as I thought it would this week, and so I'm really grateful for that. I also feel like there's light coming from my back body and the top of my head. Don't know. That's what I just saw when I closed my eyes. And somehow it's interacting with my heart. So you know what? I'm going to take it. Thank you, Mom or Universe or whoever is really guiding me in this moment to help me be grounded here. It's yeah. I feel pretty grateful. I think we unfucked our stuck.
Squeeze the day away.
Squeeze the day away with Lemonadio.
Unfuck Your Stock is being produced by Lemonadio. When life gives you lemons, make radio. We encourage everyone to listenhappier.com.